They say it's like the me generation. It's not. It's not. The arrogance is taught, or it was cultivated. It's self-conscious. That's what it is. It's conscious of self. What the social media? It's just the market's answer to a generation that demanded to perform. So the market said, here, perform everything to each other all the time for no reason. It's prison. It's horrific. It is performer and audience melded together. What do we want more than to lie in our bed at the end of the day and just watch our life as a satisfied audience member?
That was a clip from stand-up comedian Bo Burnham's second comedy special, Make Happy. Now, I know it seems like a pretty intense sentiment to express in a comedy special, but these ruminations on social media, celebrity, and the internet as a whole are not uncommon to his body of work. In fact, his first comedy special, What?, also deals extensively with his relationship to comedy and how the commodification of his passions has impacted his life.
You used to do comedy when you felt like being funny, but now you're contractually obligated, so dance you fucking monkey.
I think this moment is more powerful in context with the cold open of the special. Just minutes before that song begins, we see an old home video of a young Bo Burnham singing Old MacDonald to his mother.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
It's moments like these that I think foreshadow the themes that Bo Burnham would ultimately explore in his first feature film, 8th Grade. 8th Grade follows 13-year-old Kayla as she tries to survive her last week of 8th grade. The film primarily focuses on Kayla's attempts at self-expression through a series of YouTube videos in which she gives advice on socializing and being herself. Although her experiences might seem unrelated to Burnham, he affirms that culture as a whole is going through an adolescence right now.
We were sort of, maybe, feels like our culture is kind of going through a bit of an 8th grade moment. It seems like it's functioning at an 8th grade level maybe right now.
He was attempting to describe his own experiences, but the voice that felt the most true was a young woman with social anxiety. But what I think is especially interesting is why he chose to write about a young girl instead of a young boy.
The boys tended to talk about Minecraft and the girls tended to talk about their souls, so it was like, I'm probably gonna write about a girl.
While this critique is definitely fair...
Hello YouTube, it's Kevin Punchwood here with my companion Nicholas.
I think that social media asked a lot of my generation at a very young age, and now we have to figure out how to navigate the world, not just as ourselves, but as a series of performances that are so crucial to how we exist in this world. I think Friedrich Nietzsche and his philosophy have a really interesting role in pop culture. Like, people's perception of him can range from like pretentious, angsty man baby.
Is that Nietzsche? You don't speak because of Friedrich Nietzsche.
Well, let's say something a bit more nationalist, socialist.
Time is a flat circle.
I said, Nietzsche, shut the fuck up. Put it down!
But I think Nietzsche's body of work is extremely valuable, especially in the context of social media and this new relationship that we all have to ourselves. But I think the idea of Nietzsche's that is most relevant would be the idea of amor fati. Amor fati, which literally translates to love of fate, is the idea that you should view everything in your life, whether it be pleasure or suffering, as necessary. So that no matter what happens to you, whether it be good or bad, you should love and appreciate it because it is part of your life. In his novel, The Gay Science, Nietzsche writes, "What if some day or night a demon were to steal after you into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, 'This life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it. But every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything unutterably small or great in your life will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon who spoke thus? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him, 'You are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine'?" Of course, this plays more into his idea of eternal recurrence, or the idea that life repeats itself infinitely over an infinite period of time. Nietzsche wanted to be willing to live his same life, mistakes and all, forever.
In Ecce Homo, he writes, "My formula for greatness in man is amor fati, the fact that a man wishes nothing to be different, either in front of him or behind him, or for all eternity. Not only must the necessary be born and on no account concealed. All idealism is falsehood in the face of necessity, but it must also be loved."
So what the hell does that have to do with Instagram? Well, what's your social media presence except your life on display for the entire world to see? It's you and your family and your friends and your dog immortalized on the internet forever.
This internet video of me wearing my own face as a wig will exist possibly hundreds of years after I'm dead.
I think social media as a concept has presented us with a Nietzschean test of character. Like Bo Burnham said in Make Happy, every night you have to sit down and watch your life. You have to see who you hung out with, what you wore, the jokes you made, the things you did. And not just you, but everyone you know. So I think that Nietzsche would ask us, can you live with that? Can you watch your life back every single day and honestly say to yourself, I wouldn't change anything?
Hey, my name's Caleb Craig. I'm a gay from Massachusetts. You know what I look like?
From August 2019 to February 2020, I filmed everything. Whether it was a joke that I shared with my friends, or a house show on a Friday night, or just me trying to make myself laugh in my dorm room when I was bored. I would take these Snapchat videos and sometimes I would send them to people, but most of the time I just saved them to my phone. And then Snapchat would organize them by date and time, and then I could look at any day in my life and just get a glimpse back in time. But here's the catch. You always think you're gonna remember a moment forever when you're living in that moment. When I'm spending time with my friends, I don't think to myself, maybe one day we won't talk to each other anymore. I never think to myself that one day these people might walk out of my life and take a part of me with them. Because there are plenty of videos I've made, whether they're Snapchats or TikToks or just other videos on my phone, that capture moments I really wish I could forget. Moments with friends that just remind me of all the hurtful things we ended up saying to each other. Videos of me in various states of intoxication, making a fool of myself that just make me regret all the time I wasted, all the decisions I made that changed my life, usually for the worse. Or funny little videos I made to pass the time during the pandemic, but now all I see is how scared I was. So what would Nietzsche say? Personally, I think it was probably really easy for Nietzsche to be like, oh, we should enjoy the good and the bad parts of our lives, when he didn't have a high-definition video of him drunkenly singing a Harry Styles song.
Hello, my name is Caleb Craig. I'm a journalism major at Emerson College. Ever heard of it? Boston, Massachusetts.
Because before social media, before every human being had a camera in their pocket, our memories could be whatever we wanted them to be. Time could heal all wounds, and we could choose how to remember the terrible things that happened to us. But now we just have to scroll through them, pages and pages and pages of it that never end. But there's another Nietzsche quote from Ecce Homo that I think applies here too. One cannot get rid of anything. One cannot get over anything. One cannot repel anything. Everything hurts. Men and things obtrude too closely. Experiences strike one too deeply. Memory becomes a festering wound. Sickness itself is a kind of resentment. The idea of resentment is actually really interesting. It's this feeling of hostility that we direct towards what we believe is the source of frustration in our lives. But really, it's just a defense mechanism against insecurity. Our egos are building up this scapegoat so that we can deny any culpability in the way that our lives have disappointed us. Now, I don't think that Friedrich, I am not a man, I'm dynamite Nietzsche would really be down to deny the mistakes he's made in life, but I think that's what might be happening with social media. Has social media deprived our lives of meaning and forced us into these personal caves of social anxiety and narcissism? Or have we just done that to ourselves? Personally, I think I've chosen to use social media in a way that exacerbates my worst qualities. For me, a camera is a buffer, it's a filter, it's an excuse to perform and to depersonalize. It's a wedge between me and reality. But lately I've been using Snapchat differently, almost like Tetching Hesse. I've just been taking pictures of myself with that day's date. So instead of using the camera to romanticize or to fictionalize my life, I'm just using it to prove that I'm there at all, to prove that time is passing. And that sense of self, that sense of existence, is tied to whether or not I'm posting videos on the internet. I know this is the part in the video where I should be like, I've learned how to live a better life. I know how to live without social media. But I think I just want to bring it back to Bo Burnham and make happy.
I know very little about anything, but what I do know is that if you can live your life without an audience, you should do it.
I don't know if I can live without an audience. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'll be chasing that audience for the rest of my life. But also, maybe that's okay, as long as I can live with everything I do in that pursuit. The good and the bad, the pleasure and the suffering.
Video's over.